Residents in the Holy Cross neighborhood take over a public meeting on a proposed grain facility.
The Port of New Orleans leased the facility to an organic grain company which plans to run one 10-car train a day up the middle of the neighborhood. David Jones joins us with the neighbors' concerns.
Residents are upset with the Port of New Orleans and with the grain company. They say they feel deceived after work began to rehab railroad tracks running straight through Holy Cross. It's part of what the port says is a $30 million total investment to transport bulk organic grain between ship and rail.
I live 3 blocks from where the development site going to be. What's going to happen to me?
All of this was started, and a year and a half later, now we're finding out about it.
The meeting started off contentious with representatives from the port, who owns the site, Norfolk Southern Railroad, who runs the trains, and Sunrise Foods International, who handles the grain. All 3 entities set up tables with information for residents about the project.
Things start, they're planned, they're put into place, they're implemented, and there's no input from the community.
Residents decried a lack of transparency.
They didn't reach out to the community, they didn't reach out to leaders, they didn't do anything except make this deal until it was done.
No train, no grain! No train, no grain!
Halfway through the meeting, a large crowd of angry residents flooded into the venue and took over the meeting.
This has been going on by internal memos at least for a year and a half.
We're finding out about it after the fact, when all of these things are already in place. The train tracks are already being laid for the trains to go through neighborhoods.
This is not a project that I found out about until people here found out about it.
Councilmember Oliver Thomas says even he did not know about the project.
At some point, I think it's incumbent that systems and municipal governments and political people and agencies, you got to win over the people's trust. And you win over the people's trust by talking to them, by mitigating their fears.
The port calls it a terminal revitalization at the Olibo Street facility. It says maritime commerce has been a long-standing facet of the Holy Cross neighborhood. Norfolk Southern says the railroad track going down the middle of Olibo Street has always been considered, quote, active, and was last in regular use more than 10 years ago.
This rail track goes right down the middle of the street. Where else in the city do you have a rail track going down the middle of the street except for a streetcar? And there's kids that live right next door.
The port says it signed a 15-year lease with Sunrise Foods during a board meeting over the summer. Sunrise said in part, quote, "We are delighted to be a part of this important and historic American city, and through each phase of the project, Sunrise Foods International can be counted on to be continually engaged about the concerns and needs of the community."
The respiratory diseases that can be developed from inhaling that dust. So that's a big concern of mine.
State Representative Candace Newell has her own concerns.
I'm hearing now that they don't have that final design for this building to ensure that dust mitigation is in place.
Sunrise says the bulk of the facility's operations will involve moving grain product from the renovated warehouse to waiting rail cars within the warehouse. The company expects a, quote, negligible dust impact. Monday through Friday, daily rail service along the tracks is set to start in the first quarter of the new year.